Good morning, students. Hope you are keeping fine. Let us take lesson number 6, the age of the Guptas. In this lesson, about the syllabus, you have to study about source of fine, Allahabad pillar inscriptions, political history and administration of Samudragupta, Chandragupta, Vikramaditya, contributions to the field of education, about the Nalanda University, science, culture, work of Kalidas, Deoghar temples. Let's start about the lesson. The period from AD 320 to 550 is known as the imperial age of the Guptas. During this period, India made progress in the field of education, science and culture. This period is also known as the classical age or the golden age of Indian history. Now, what are the sources that give us information about the Guptas are the account of Fahim, then the Allahabad pillar inscriptions or the Prayag Prasticity is there, and about Chandragupta-1, Samudragupta. These are some of the source of information which give us about information about the Gupta's age. Fahim. He was the earliest Chinese pilgrim who visited India on a religious mission during the reigns of Chandragupta II. During his stay in India, he went on a pilgrimage to Madurai, Kapilavastu, Kushinagar, Vaishali, Patliputra, Kasi and Rajgriha, and made careful observations about the conditions at the time without resorting to any biased things. According to Fahim, Magad was a prosperous country with large town, teeming with wealthy population, was a city with numerous charitable institutions, including hospital, and the people were wealthy. They had lead a simple life and generally observing the Buddhist rule of conduct. Vaishnavism, Shivaism, Buddhism, Jainism were the main religions of that time. People, however, have no ill will towards other section of the society. Hindu god and goddess were depicted on coins and also in sculptures and painting. The penal code was mild and the officers were ordinarily punished by fine only. So what he wrote about India, that India, Magad was a prosperous nation with large town, people living a simple life, and people were very wealthy. They don't have any ill will against other peoples, and the Hindu god and goddess were worshipped by the people, and their sculptures or painting was on coins, and painter used to paint the picture of Hindus god and goddess, and the punishment was mild, that was done by small fine only. This was the observation of Fahim when he visited India, because he was on a religious visit to India, and he came in the period of Chandragupta II. Now the second sources, the Allahabad pillar inscriptions, which give us information about the imperial Guptas, and composed by Harisena, the court poet of Samudragupta, also known as Prayag Prasticity, is written in praise of Samudragupta. It described the reign of the Guptas in ancient times and provided an impressive list of king and tribal republics that were conquered by Samudragupta. The inscription also gave us information about the political, geographical of India, indicating by naming the different kings and people who popularized India in the first half of the 4th century. Now about an excerpt from the Prayag Prasticity. He was without an antagonist on earth. He, by the overflowings of the multitudes of many good qualities, adorned by hundreds of good actions, has wiped off the fame of other kings with the sole of his feet. He brains the cause of the prosperity of the good and the destruction of the bad. This is an extract sung in praise of Samudragupta. Now, who were the people who ruled the Guptas? The history of the first true ruler of the Guptas dynasty, Sri Gupta, and his son Gottakach, is an obscure. So it is believed that the Gupta area originated with the reign of Chandragupta I. Now Chandragupta I was the first independent king with the title of Maharaja Dhiraj. The Gupta's king used to take titles like Maharaja Dhiraj, Vikramaditya, etc. etc. Maharaja Dhiraj means the king of king. After declaring his independence in Magad, he extended his empire through matrimonial alliances by marrying a Lichavi princess, Kumara Devi. Samudragupta, he was the son of Chandragupta I, and most of the informations or much of the information about him is obtained from the Allahabad pillar inscriptions composed by his court Harisena. Harisena was a poet in his court. He was a great conqueror and able statesman as well as a patron of learning. His empire extended from Brahmaputra in the east to river Yamuna and Chambal in the west, from Himalaya in the north to Narmada in the south. And it is said that because of his bravery and generalship, he is known as the Napoleon of India. So if the question is asked who is known as the Napoleon of India, then it is Samudragupta. He further extended his empire up to the Chambal river by defeating the Naga king of Mathurai, Gwalior, and like Alexander, he was very daring. During his famous Deccan campaigns, he covered more than 3,000 miles through dense forest and defeated many powerful rulers. He did not annex southern territories, but made the southern territories or southern kings accept his authorities and allow them to rule. The Allahabad pillar inscription of Samudragupta described 4 kinds of ruler and tell about Samudragupta policies towards them. The 9th ruler of Aryabharta were uprooted and their kingdoms were made part of Samudragupta empire. As we know, he was very bold, very good administrator. He extended his empires from the Yamuna, Chambals in the west to Narmada in the south, and because of his bravery and generalmanship, he is known as Napoleon. He has a daring attitude like Alexander. So he defeated the 9th ruler and the 12th ruler of Dakshinapat, that South India, who surrendered to him after being defeated, were liberated and now to rule again their kingdoms. He annexed the kingdoms, but he did not conquer them, but let the king rule the kingdoms, but asked them to accept his authority. The inner circle of neighboring states, including Assam, coastal Bengal, Nepal, and number of Ghana Sanghas. The Ghana Sanghas mean organization of kings in the north and west, paid tributes, followed his order, attend his court. The ruler of the outlying area submitted to him and offered their daughters in marriage. According to Samudragupta court poets Harisena, he performed Ashwamedha Yagya or horse sacrifice. Samudragupta was not only a brave warrior conqueror but a great ruler. Now, Ashwamedha Yagya, as you must have seen or you must have seen Ramayana, Lord Rama also performed the Ashwamedha Yagya. It is says that a horse is being left, and whichever king capture the horse has to fight with the honor of the horse. And in this way, this yagya was there, and in this way, when the defeated ruler had to accept the authority of that king. So, Samudragupta was a follower of Brahmanism and worshipped Lord Vishnu. He also had faith in Vedic sacrifices, but he was tolerant towards other religions. He was not very orthodox, but he had a respect for other religions. This was about Samudragupta. Now let's talk about Chandragupta II Vikramaditya. The inscriptions mention that Chandragupta II succeeded his father Samudragupta, inherits the military genius of his father, extended the Gupta empire by conquest of his own. He annexed the territory of the Saka of Malwa, Gujarat and Saurashtra. For this he was given the title Sakan or conqueror of the Sakas because he conquered the Sakas. According to noted historians, Dr. Vincent Smith, the annexation of Saurashtra and Malwa not only added to the empire provisions of exceptional wealth and fertility. So, the land was very fertile, there were lots of wealth, all this got added to Chandragupta Vikramaditya kingdoms. He entered into matrimonial alliances as a part of his foreign policy, and he married Kubar Naga of the Naga family, and the Nagas were powerful ruling clans, and these matrimonial alliances helped the Gupta's ruler in expanding their empire. The marriages of Chandragupta's daughter Prabhavati with the Vikartaka ruler Rudrasant helped him to establish his political influences in the Deccan. It was during the reigns of Chandragupta II that the Chinese pilgrim Fahin visited India, and in his account he gave lots of information about the Gupta's empire. Like Samudragupta, he issued a wide variety of coins, and the difference in designing between the coin of the two rulers is significant. Chandragupta is represented as lying a lion on some coins with the legend Simbha Vikrama, whereas Samudragupta is shown as lying a tiger. On many of his coins, Chandragupta II had the title Vikramaditya. His court is said to have been adored by 9 gems, including Kalidas and Amrasan. He was succeeded by Kumaragupta. It was during Kumaragupta reigns that the Huns, a barbarian tribes of Central Asia, invaded India for the first time. They were the tribes which believes in shedding the blood, and they visited at the times of Kumaragupta and caused lots of damage to the Gupta's empire. At the times of the next attack, the crown princess, second Gupta, has ascended the throne. He gave the Huns a crushing defeat, but they did not dare attack India in the next 50 years. So it was his successor, second Gupta, who defeated the Huns, and the Huns did not attack India for the next 50 years. So this much for today. Let us continue the lesson in the next sessions.